Record-breaking rainfall's taking its toll on this year's harvest. Farmers are struggling to get silage in, and they say cereal crops are delayed and struggling with disease.
It also means that dairy farmers who are already dealing with cuts to milk prices are facing higher feed costs during the winter. Our environment correspondent David Gregory is at a farm near Wem in North Shropshire tonight. David, not a good time for farmers then, really?
Well, I think the thing is, Sarah, there's two different types of problems here. You know, a tricky harvest, well, arable farmers say they can cope with that. The problem for the dairy industry is much more structural. Now, even on a high-tech dairy farm like this one with a robot milking machine here in Wem, even here, they're finding it hard to make money out of dairy because of the way the industry is set up. And as you said, the bad news is a tricky harvest will have another knock-on effect on the price here.
On this farm near Much Wenlock in Shropshire, you can clearly see how the wind and rain has battered down the crops. But the expert eye sees extra problems, including disease in the wheat.
Well, we've got a huge problem here with fusarium, which, as you look at it closely, is this oranging effect or whitening effect on the ear, which means that that is dying. It's covered in fusarium, and will have an effect on the total yield in the end of the day.
And it's not just the wheat, this is oilseed rape, and there are problems here too.
As you can see, we've got a lot of wind damage and rain damage in this particular field. The white pods that you can see are due to the wind bashing the pods about and emptying all the seeds out of them. So that particular piece will yield nothing.
And the whole of the cereal harvest has been pushed back by the weather by at least 2 weeks.
So the upshot of all this is that costs are going up. So the farmers who feed some of these crops to their animals, their cattle, their pigs, well, they're going to see their prices rise. And looking ahead to next year's harvest, well, the cost of seed is going to go up as well. So already arable farmers can see higher bills ahead in 12 months' time.
I think it'll be an extremely tricky harvest, but hey, we're there. We've got to keep going and try our best to do what we can.
But all this does mean we'll be paying extra for bread and more in the shops.
But let's switch back to the dairy industry, and with me is Neil Sadler, who runs this farm with the aid of that robotic milking machine. Neil, you've had some price cuts recently. Tell us what's happened.
Well, over the course of this year, our milk price has dropped so far by 2.5 pence, half a p in February, 2p at the beginning of June. The likelihood is that there'll be further cuts throughout the year. Some purchasers have already announced 2p cuts, and I certainly know mine is on track so far for 1.7 shortly, and possibly a further half p after that.
And what does a penny cut mean to the farm?
Every penny on a farm this size, this is a 70 cow herd, every penny's worth £6,000. So it starts to multiply up. By the end of this year, I'll be probably around £28,000 down on income, which on a farm this size is not sustainable.
But, you know, it's just the free market. This is how business works.
It is, in some respects, but it's slightly distorted by the size of the supermarkets and the purchasers that are buying from small dairy farms. I think the public has already let know that it doesn't like the large super dairies, the 5, 6, 7,000 cow herds. Prefer to see milk coming from small dairy farms like this one with sort of 70 to 100 cows or slightly more than that. And if that's required, then we've got to have a more sustainable milk price.
Neil, thank you very much for that. I should say there was a lot of direct protest action in the East Midlands last night. We may well see something like that in the West Midlands tonight and over the weekend. Back to you in the studio.
David, thank you very much.